What's up, everybody? Welcome to Discourse and Chill. I'm Ian.
And I'm your girl Reese.
Today, we are going to talk about embracing love and kindness without hesitation. This topic actually came up from a conversation that Reese and I were having about how I struggle with this, and we just thought this would be a perfect opportunity to talk about kind of our journeys and how we are trying to release those things that prevent us from really just embracing the love and kindness that we've received in our lives and careers and things of that nature, and just put us on a trajectory to be open arms when good things are coming our direction. So, I guess, can you tell me a little bit about your journey with this, Reese? Like, how has it been for you? Like, have you always been able to embrace the love and kindness?
So I have not always been open to embracing, like, I guess, like kindness and love, like acts of service from people. I still now, at this big grown age that I have, do not openly, um I guess, accept help. I rarely let anybody know that I need help. That's number one. I think that's the biggest thing. Like,
Mm.
people don't know when I'm in need, because when I
Mm-hmm.
have been in the past and have asked for help, it hasn't always come, you know? It has been
Mm-hmm.
a struggle for me to let people know that I need assistance. I think I'm very prideful in that manner. I've always been the helper. So when it's time to be the helpee, it's foreign for me. I think I
Mm-hmm.
have people around me who always are in need. So, like, it's not really, quote unquote, my time, I guess. So when somebody is trying to, like, be helpful or, like, show me kindness, give a little grace, I'm always like, what you want? I don't really fully allow people
Facts.
to be for me what I am for other people, just because, like, I know the other side of it. I've been disappointed. I've had, letdowns. I can't say that people are genuine all the time when they, quote unquote, are lending a helping hand, because it always comes back with, like, oh, well, remember when I helped you that time? I need X, Y, and Z. So for me, it's still a journey that I'm on. I can't say that I am open to receiving love and kindness, and I'm saying that as far as, like, again, acts of service, not in regards to, like, people trying to, like,
Mm-hmm.
show me love or be in love type thing. Yeah. So this has been a
Mm-hmm.
continuous struggle to believe in people in that regard of them really trying to be kind. Yeah, it's a struggle for me.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? Like you said, you said that you acknowledge that we've had a conversation before in regards to it with you. What do you think are some of the reasons why you are so hesitant, or what has led you to be so hesitant?
Mm-hmm. Um, I think upbringing has a lot to do with it. Uh, I think my parents are two very proud people. They're two people who have essentially pulled themselves out of poverty. Um, and they obviously had help along the way. Everybody does. But I think they were two people who always had to figure things out, always had to like take those steps on their own first. And that was something that they definitely passed down to me. So I remember just different parts of my life going to them specifically and asking for help for something, and them letting me know that I have to figure it out or be able to figure things out in life. And so that kind of set me on this trajectory to not ask for help and not be able to receive the love and kindness of others either, right? Because I think my mom used to always tell me that, like, you never know people's intentions. And so it always made me suspicious of people who, one, like, offered kind words or compliments or help without me asking, and then also even when I needed it or somebody saw that I could use some assistance, I thought that they were going to ask me for something in return all the time, you know? So it's very similar to what you were experiencing. I don't know if it came from the same place, but I just was raised with this idea that you do the thing yourself. If you have an idea,
Yeah.
you finance that idea, you foster that idea, you work your ass off, and that idea comes to fruition. And I
Yeah.
remember even with you and I and us starting the nonprofit, and I came to you asking you if you wanted to be on this nonprofit, but then I had a hard time of like letting you help. And it had nothing to do with you and everything to do with like me having this idea of like, okay, we can do this together and I have to do all the work because that's what I've been told, right? Like I'm glad we're doing this, but I have to do all the work because like in my brain and in my body it just feels like that's what you're supposed to do. Like you can have people who help, but you still do all the help. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um like I still see it with my dad. He goes to this church and he does everything. And part of it is him not wanting to rely on other people and be let down. And the other part of it is he's relied on other people and been let down, you know? And so
Yeah.
there's this
Yeah.
hard space of like, okay, if I relinquish the control and I rely on this person, if I'm let down, I don't want to like think of you different because I know you're a good person. You know, like I know
Mm.
that this person means well, but if their standards aren't the same, then I'm gonna be disappointed and look at them different. You know, so like I think I get that. I'm just like I'm just gonna do it all because then I can always hold this person in esteem anyway. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, it was definitely a struggle. I mean, it definitely is still a struggle between you and I when it comes down to quote unquote ownership. You don't easily, allow other people to do stuff. And then, it kind of at a time is like, you have to always be in control, Um, and as far as we are into our friendship, like I'm saying, it's like, I should understand that about you, but then I'm like, I don't understand that about him. Like, it's like there's always this, I do, I got it, that whole mentality type thing that I feel like, is kind of,
Mhm.
it's kind of detrimental to our partnership in a way. It's like if I'm trying to
Mhm.
be present and be, quote unquote helpmate, I guess, in this business. um it's kind of hard when somebody's telling you, no. Like, what, so it's like, how valuable am I, type thing. So it's definitely
Mhm.
a journey that, people have to like walk through in order to relinquish some of that power. Um, and we just need to figure out
Mhm.
like the overcoming of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. I think that's part of this episode, right? Like us having the conversation about our interactions through our partnerships has brought this to the forefront, right? Like, where does this come from? Like, where do my feelings around uh, wanting to have ownership come from? And again, like, I think it has nothing to do with who is involved and everything to do with like the things that have been instilled in me in a way that are kind of like, I don't call them traumatic, maybe a little toxic, because it always assumes it doesn't necessarily assume good, right? So it's like, oh, I
Right.
should do it because X, Y, and Z. It always gives me an out to just do it myself, even if I'm tired, even if I don't have the capacity, even if I'm emotionally exhausted, like no matter what, like there's not space for me in those instances because I prioritize doing the thing that I said I was going to do. And I think part of it too is pride, and part of it is like I don't want to be thought of as less than or uh, unable to be of service or be useful in an instance because that is something else that has been put into me. Is like this is how you present in these instances when you come up with something, you do the thing. period. You know, there's no like outsourcing, or there's no there's nothing. Like I think of the podcast and like so many things that you and I have done, and it's just like I have always felt responsible in a way that like I got to do it all because I don't want us to fail. And not saying that you doing the thing is gonna contribute to that, but like in my brain, I haven't had an opportunity to really have those instances where it wasn't all on me. You know, like I think this partnership with you and I is the first time like I have legitimately depended on somebody to do something, and they have followed through on numerous occasions, and I still have trouble with like that part. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I guess, like one of those hurdles that we have to overcome, and not necessarily just with you and
Mm-hmm.
I, you and I's partnership, but also like in life. Like how many times have we pushed somebody away unknowingly because we struggle with being able to let somebody in or letting somebody help. So when you think back over, like, okay, well,
Yeah,
dang, I remember
absolutely.
there was this one person who was really great, but then like it's kind of like fizzled. But it's because again, like we don't
Hmm.
let people in, and we unknowingly start pushing people away, and that's the part that we have to try like
Hmm.
overcome you know
Yeah. Hmm. It's that it's that not wanting to be disappointed, right? And so I
yeah,
think you and I are similar in the way that like even if we say if we're speaking of like new friendships, potential new like connections that could go somewhere, we don't want to be disappointed by that person because that's the thing that's worse than anything, right? Like if
right,
we meet this person, we have good conversation, and the follow through then becomes the thing that is like the fulcrum, right? Like if you follow through, man, I might fall for you. We're gonna be best friends. Like I'll tell you right now, Reese. Like I remember you and I. Like your follow through is the reason why we're friends. Like literally, like I mean, you're a great human being, period. But I just remember being in an environment of like no follow through, right? And so I'm
yeah,
like, man, these fools out here just running rampant in their lack of follow through. And then I meet Reese, I'm like, man, we the same because if Reese, you take ownership and I take ownership, and we like this mine, and you like this mine, you know, like, and it's great, and also like kind of toxic, you know,
right.
because
It
it's like we're
definitely is.
still, yeah, we're still working on that like collaboration portion, right? Like rather than
Yeah,
like, all right, Reese, you do these 8 things, I'm gonna do these 8 things, we're gonna bring these 16 things together. But it's like, well,
right.
everything doesn't have to be so compartmentalized. We can also like do these 2 things together, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
And I think that's the part that is like that has always been a struggle for me. It's always like,
yeah.
let me, all right, I have to untie my shoe and you can help. Like, nah, I got this. This my shoe. You know, like you like,
Yeah,
but I'm already down here and my hand is over your shoe.
yeah. It's one of those things, like once you have experienced let down so many times, it is hard
Mm,
to open back up and to let somebody else in to assist. So I get it. Again, I'm
mm,
still living in it. I rarely let people in. I always say this is my bubble, and if I let you into my bubble, don't mess up. I live in my own little bubble. I I am. I mean, because it's safe here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that their disappointment
mm,
doesn't lie here. There's not a lack of loyalty in my bubble. So it's like I know what my bubble entails, and I don't need anybody coming in and tainting my bubble. So I'm very, very cautious of people. I am a person of
mm.
consistency. Like, I need to see that you are consistent. Because listen, my curve game is hella strong, and I
Strong.
try to stop. I try
Listen,
to stop giving
steroids.
myself. Listen, just because I got the Arnold Schwarzenegger of curves.
Listen.
But I mean, and I'm trying to get I'm trying to get better at giving people grace, especially when I want to receive grace. But it's really
Mm,
hard to allow people to quote unquote help or like show me kindness or just love and support
mm,
because again I mean I come from disappointment and then I come from ulterior motives, so it's like I've
mm.
experienced it so much that it's like I don't know, so I'm always like side eyeing people and hella cautious, super suspicious, like
Mhm.
I need to know. I'm going to ask you 1,000 questions before I'm like, oh, okay. Because one, I'm just, I'm hella inquisitive just by nature, and then my detective
Mhm.
skills are top notch.
Elite.
So listen, I am Olivia Pope, okay?
I think too, it's the level of achievement we have both. I think we have both had access to in the things that
Mhm,
we have done in our lives, whether that be
mhm,
education or careers or side ventures. There's a level of excellence that and professionalism and integrity that we hold very
yeah.
dear to our reputation and how we would like to present and be perceived by others. And so when you bring people into the fold or you reach out to certain individuals for help and you recognize that there are like places that they lack the standards that we have set for
Mhm,
ourselves and how we want our business to be represented, how we want ourselves to be represented, we think through like, man, I don't know, like I give 100% and I see you out here giving 85, and I think I'm working on trying to give more people grace in that like my level of work ethic is not necessarily a standard or normal for that matter, right? Like
mhm,
what I have what has been instilled in me is again something that's probably detrimental to myself and my like mental
mhm,
health and to my just evolution as a person because I was never given perfectionism, but definitely
mhm.
my work ethic has to like be second to none. Like
Yeah.
I may not be the smartest person in the room, I may not be the fastest, the most talented, but I'm gonna outwork everybody. Period.
Mhm.
Like there's you
Yeah.
will never outwork me. Nobody will ever out hustle me. Nobody will ever out like 9 to 5. Like I'm gonna work. Period. Like
Yeah.
it may take a little more time. It may take a little bit, but at the end of the day, you can be like, damn, Ian worked his ass off. Like, and
Yeah.
so when I reach out, and I would say again, Reese, this is another place where you and I gravitated towards you is because I'm like, damn, Reese worked her ass off. I like that. Like I appreciate and respect the fuck out of that. Like for real, because it's not typical, right? Like it's
Yeah.
not like, and that's not necessarily a good thing for you and I, like in this
Yeah.
context, but it's something that we find value and security and uh, like respect in. And so
Mhm.
when you reach out to somebody and you want them to help or want to receive the thing that they're offering, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of like, did you really give it 100% though? Like, is your 100% my 100%? And that's an unfair measurement, right? Like that's an unfair metric for me
Yeah.
to apply to somebody else. And these are the things that I
It
think
is.
that I am learning about me and the people
Yeah.
I surround myself with is that my work ethic is not normal. And I would say, Reese, you and I, we can match each other in that way, but somebody else doesn't have to match us. Like they
Yeah.
can present in a way that they believe 100% shows up. And if there's a shortcoming, then we can address that specifically, right?
Yeah.
And we can address things specifically, but not kind of hold them accountable to like how they were raised or socialized or how they like to present. And I think that is something that I'm just working on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Facebook look back always shows you what you said. And I remember during the period in 2014, I put this post up and it said, I need to apologize to everybody that I held at a higher standard. That pressure must have been unbearable. And I apologize for trying to make you great when you were only destined to be mediocre.
uh,
And I think that's where a lot of that's where a lot of the things come, the issues for me come. I have this level of greatness that I want everybody to be, but everybody can't. You know what I'm saying? I'm forcing what I want out of you onto you, and that's not where you are. So I had to apologize, at that time, because I know that pressure had to be heavy. My expectation
mm,
of you is more than your expectation of you. And I can't, what I'm saying, I can't make you be what I want you to
that
be.
part.
I always say it to you. I'm the unicorn in a field full of donkeys. And I just have to realize like that's where I am. Sometimes, my field gets a little lonely looking around, and I'm like, I know there's unicorns in here somewhere, and trying to turn donkeys into unicorns is impossible. So, yeah, that's where
Unless you got some
my level of
magic,
having to
like.
have grace comes in.
It's so true. It's so true. I think me and my father have this conversation often. He says that everybody has the propensity to be great, and I don't think so.
Mhm.
Like I don't believe that because not everybody wants to be great, and to be great, you first have to want it, and then two, the things you have to be, the things you have to do to be great are beyond like most people's wants, right? Like the desire to be great is one thing, and then the things you have to do to get there, like if you really want to get there, like they're just it's hard. It's hard
Right.
to be excellent. It's hard
Yeah.
to be beyond average. Like the standard and average like that there's a reason it exists because that's most people, right? Like the mean
Yeah.
of the population of people, it's a 5. It's a good 5.